There's a difference between losing someone and discovering you never had what you thought you had. Noah got engaged one night, woke up to screenshots on his phone the next day. It wasn't the betrayal that hurt the most. It was who sent the photos. And it was who, after everything, chose to defend the wrong side.
My brother slept with my fiancée the night after our engagement and sent me the photos as a trophy. My name is Noah. I'm 23 years old. I work as a junior architect at a firm in the city. My father died in an accident when I was a baby. I have no memory of him, no mental image, no sense of having known someone who then disappeared. Just the abstract knowledge that he existed once, and that his absence structured everything that came after. My brother Adam, 4 years older, at least had time with him before the accident. That difference was always part of the distance between us, even if we never named it directly in any of the many fights we had growing up. My mother raised us alone. She worked double shifts when necessary, paid the bills, put food on the table without complaining out loud, though I could see the exhaustion on her face on Friday nights when she finally sat down and the entire week caught up with her. She didn't have favorites in any obvious way. I don't think she did it consciously, but there was something between her and Adam that never had an equivalent between her and me. A tacit language, a shared frequency that I observed from the outside without being able to tune in. The difference between being loved and being the favorite. And as a child, that difference matters more than we want to admit. My paternal uncle, my father's brother, filled the space my father couldn't. He was consistent in a way that my mother's situation didn't allow her to be. He showed up to my games even when I played badly. He kept my school projects as if they were worth more than a grade. When it became clear I wasn't going to be the brilliant athlete or standout academic that Adam had been, my uncle was the only adult in my life who didn't seem to measure the difference between us as a deficit of mine. He was the one who convinced me to apply to out-of-state universities when my mother said we couldn't afford it. He was the one who covered the cost without making it feel like a favor. That decision changed everything in my life. Adam was everything I wasn't as a child. Athletic, physically imposing, with the kind of presence that fills a room without any apparent effort. I was thin, introverted, average at almost everything that was publicly measured in adolescence. Growing up as his younger brother meant living in a constant comparison that no one articulated out loud, but that everyone made in silence. I learned to shrink, to take up the minimum possible space in contexts where Adam had already set the standard. I became an expert at disappearing from a room while he was present. That version of me lasted until college, where nobody knew me as Adam's younger brother. I could finally just be Noah, without reference, without comparison, without shadow. College transformed me in ways that still seem unlikely when I think about it. Without the constant pressure of comparison, I could discover what I was good at: architecture, design, the way spaces can transform how people feel inside them. I graduated near the top of my class with a specialization in urban design. I landed a job at a well-regarded firm before finishing my last semester. I wasn't doing it to prove anything to anyone. I was doing it because after years of feeling insufficient, I finally understood that being enough didn't require the validation of any specific person. Adam took a different path. He had a good job for several years. He quit to start his own business that failed completely. He accumulated significant debt that my uncle and my mother had to cover. He ended up moving back into my mother's house at 26. When he finally found another job, it was considerably below what he had before. Every family gathering showed him a little worse: more unkempt clothes, longer silences, extra glasses at the end of the night. I even felt genuine pity for him despite everything he had put me through growing up, because I couldn't watch someone sinking without feeling something. When he lost the business, I sent him a message of support. He interpreted it as mockery. He blocked me. That was the last contact we had before the night of the engagement. Riley and I had been together for almost 3 years when I decided to propose. She was a graphic designer with a sense of humor and a way of seeing the world that complemented mine. She had been present at family gatherings for 2 years and knew the dynamic between Adam and me perfectly. She told me on more than one occasion that she worried about seeing him so dim at those gatherings, that she hoped he would find something to stabilize him. That compassion for someone who had treated me poorly for years was part of what made me love her. I thought it was a sign of a good heart. I didn't see what that compassion could mean in the hands of someone with Adam's specific intentions until it was too late to change anything. I asked my uncle for permission to propose at his birthday party. His house has a well-maintained garden with lights strung between the trees. The whole family would be there anyway. I coordinated Riley's parents' arrival for after the proposal so she couldn't anticipate anything. I bought the ring with months of savings, not the most expensive I could have found, but one that represented exactly what I felt in that moment. Real, deliberate, completely mine. After my uncle's birthday cake, I led Riley to the garden under the pretense of showing her something I had noticed there before. I got down on one knee under the trees with the lights above. I said what I wanted to say. She said yes, crying with that smile that had made me fall in love with her from the beginning. We went back inside and announced the engagement. The rest of the night was exactly what you want that kind of moment to be. People I love celebrating something that matters with genuine enthusiasm. Her parents arrived half an hour later, and the scene repeated itself with the same emotion. It was one of the best nights of my adult life.
And notice the detail he mentions almost in passing. Adam left just a few minutes after the announcement. At the time, he didn't think much of it, but that detail matters because Adam didn't leave out of discomfort. He left to act.
I noticed that Adam had left shortly after the announcement. I didn't give it much real thought. He always left family gatherings early, and I was too wrapped up in everything happening around me. That night, Riley and I got home tired in the good way. She said she was going to text her friends to share the news. I fell asleep almost immediately. At 2 in the morning, I woke up to use the bathroom and saw her still with her phone lit up. She told me she was still telling her friends. I believed her completely and went back to sleep without any part of me registering anything out of place. 2 days later, I was at my desk at work reviewing documents when messages came in from a number I didn't recognize. It was Adam. My first thought was that something had happened to my mother or my uncle. I opened the messages. They were screenshots of his conversation with Riley. I read slowly because my brain took time to process what I was seeing. Adam had messaged her to congratulate her on the engagement. Riley asked why he had left early. He said he was uncomfortable, that he didn't want to get in the way of my happiness, that he could never have something like this. She consoled him with words I recognized because she had said the same things to me in other contexts. He started flirting. She responded in kind. They arranged to meet that same night. Riley said she would sleep at a friend's place. Then came the photos. Riley's clothes on Adam's bed. He had taken them and sent them to me with no additional text, because he didn't need text. I stared at my phone screen for an amount of time I couldn't quantify. Then I saved everything in my own screenshots. I let the office know I was leaving for the rest of the day. I drove home in silence with my hands quiet on the steering wheel. I changed the lock. I packed Riley's things in a box and put it outside the door. I sent her a message saying I knew what had happened, that everything was outside, that I didn't want to see her again. I blocked her. Half an hour later, I heard her knocking on the door from inside the apartment. She cried, begged, tried to explain for 30 minutes. I didn't open the door. That night, I spent a long time thinking about what to do with what I felt and what I had on my phone. Adam had done that deliberately. He had documented everything and sent it to me as if it were a demonstration of something. As if after years of feeling below me, he had finally found a way to be above something of mine. I thought about confronting him directly, about going to his apartment, about calling. Then I thought of something cleaner and more permanent. I opened the family group chat that included all the relatives. I attached all the screenshots Adam had sent me. I wrote only, "This is what my dear brother Adam did with my fiancée the night after our engagement." I turned off my phone and went to sleep. When I turned my phone on the next day, there were dozens of messages. Almost all of them were from relatives expressing support, saying they had blocked Adam, that they were cutting off all contact with him. My uncle was the first to call. His voice had that specific calm of someone managing real anger with a lot of discipline. He told me what Adam had done was unforgivable and that he was completely on my side, that I should take care of myself, that the rest would sort itself out. That was exactly what I needed to hear before anything else. My mother didn't write anything on the first day, or the second. On the third day, she showed up at my apartment without warning. She came in, she sat on the couch. I could see in her face that she hadn't come to console me. She had come to talk about Adam. She started by saying she understood I was angry and that what Adam had done was wrong, but that I shouldn't have posted the screenshots for the whole family to see. Her argument was that Adam was already suffering enough, that family gatherings were the only social connection he had left, and that I had taken that away from him by exposing him publicly. I listened to everything without interrupting. Then I asked her directly if she was trying to justify Adam sleeping with my fiancé because his life was difficult. She paused for a long time before answering. Then she said she wasn't justifying it, but that I needed to understand where Adam was coming from. I told her I understood perfectly. He was coming from wanting to hurt me deliberately, because if it weren't that, he wouldn't have sent me the photos. It wasn't a mistake, it was an informed decision.
And this is the central point that most people get wrong in this type of situation. There is a fundamental difference between betraying someone out of weakness and documenting the betrayal to send to your brother as a trophy. The second is calculated cruelty. Trying to equate both as mistakes is a way of minimizing what actually happened.
My mother kept insisting I should be the bigger person, that I consider talking to the family, that I give Adam a chance to rebuild something. That's when I said what I had been holding back for years. I told her I knew Adam was her favorite, that he always had been, that was her right, but that she didn't need to pretend it wasn't true or ask me to absorb the consequences of his behavior simply because she loved him more. My mother was deeply offended. She said she had never had favorites. I told her we both knew that wasn't completely true, and that there was no need to pretend otherwise. At that point, we fought in a way we had never fought before, with that honesty that only arrives when there's nothing left to protect in the conversation. She left saying she wouldn't speak to me again until I reached out to Adam and tried to make things right. I didn't say anything in response. I closed the door when she left. Riley wrote to me almost every day during the first week after the broken engagement. Messages that alternated between asking for forgiveness, asking for an explanation, asking simply that I respond to something. I read them without responding. In the second week, the messages spaced out. When she finally asked if she could come to pick up the last of her things, I responded because ending things cleanly was important to me. When she arrived, she looked different in all the ways. Someone looks different when they've made a wrong decision and have to live with it. No makeup. Without the energy I remembered from the 3 previous years. She didn't look me in the eyes the entire time she was in the apartment. I didn't say anything. She packed in silence. When she finished and stopped at the door, she said she was leaving. I said goodbye. I closed the door. I blocked her everywhere. I made dinner and enjoyed it more than I expected. The silence of the apartment without her things had something concrete and clean about it. Adam was completely cut off from the family network. No more invitations to dinners or celebrations. No more group messages. The cousins who had known him their whole lives blocked him one by one after seeing the screenshots. The only contact he maintained was with my mother, who started visiting him almost every day. My uncle called me after having his own argument with my mother defending my side and told me something it took me days to fully process, that anyone with eyes had noticed the favoritism over the years, that it had never been obvious, but it was there, and that what my mother was doing now was just the most extreme expression of something that had existed their whole lives. He said I couldn't control how she distributed love or loyalty, but that I could control how much space I gave that dynamic in my own life. That was the most useful thing anyone told me during that entire period. It has been 1 month since I forwarded the screenshots. My mother and Adam are not an active part of my life at this point. Not with active anger, but with the clarity of someone who understood that some relationships cost more than they can offer. For years, I wanted to be good enough for my mother, visible enough that she would choose me too. That desire no longer defines me, and that is only possible after a long time processing things I preferred not to process.
I need to be direct here. Adam didn't stumble. He planned, he documented, and he sent the photos to his brother the day after the engagement with no text, no context, no need for explanation because he wanted it to hurt at the exact moment Noah was most vulnerable. This isn't weakness. This is cruelty with intent. And the mother? The mother showed up on the third day not to console the son who had been betrayed, but to defend the one who had done the damage. Years of favoritism that were never named out loud. And when the most extreme moment arrived, she showed exactly what had always been true. Noah didn't explode. He didn't go to his brother's apartment. He didn't send message after message. He forwarded the screenshots, no comment, to everyone at the same time. He let the truth arrive on its own on every family member's phone. Adam thought he was sending a trophy. He sent his own sentence.